how these healthy keto-friendly breads were created and why they are so special. My name is Kelly Herring. My educational background is nutritional biochemistry. Over the years, I've spent a lot of time in the library and the laboratory. But my true passion is for the culinary arts. And it is the kitchen laboratory where my heart's truly at home, cooking, baking and creating recipes. Nearly 20 years ago, I founded a company called Healing Gourmet. Since then, we've become the world's leading provider of healing recipes and meal plans, combined with science-based education on the power of foods to promote health and protect against disease. I've also written more than a dozen books, cookbooks and programs, touting the life-saving benefits of a natural, low-sugar, grain-free, anti-inflammatory diet. I didn't start out to become a nutrition expert. It all began when I became very sick. At the age of 18, in the midst of an intense pre-medical curriculum, my health took a sudden turn for the worse. My youthful energy gave way to extreme fatigue. I suffered never-ending sinus infections, constant digestive distress, and a trail of sores in my throat that did not heal for months. After nearly 2 years of suffering, and no help from dozen doctors, I began to lose hope. I wasn't sure if my illness would ever end, or if it would be the end of me. With few options left, I decided to follow a very strict, elimination diet. I should point out this was not the recommendation of a doctor. In fact, after seeing more than a dozen doctors, they didn't ask a single question about my diet. It was a friend who recommended the changes I made to my diet. And while I didn't really expect it to work, I didn't know what else to do. To my surprise, my throat began to heal within days. My digestion normalized. I soon regained my energy. And before long, I charted a course back to health. Later, I learned I had developed leaky gut, probably the result of inflammatory grains. This led to multiple food allergies and intolerances. And it progressed to an autoimmune condition, hence the unrelenting sores in my throat and bone-crushing fatigue. In other words, I suffered from the exact symptoms and conditions I've described in this letter. I was thrilled to regain my health and for the misery to finally be over. I never wanted to compromise my body again. But I also began to miss the simple pleasures of the comfort foods I used to enjoy. I wanted to enjoy those delicious foods again, especially bread, without worrying about my health or my waistline. I had very personal reasons to solve this dietary dilemma. But I knew I was not alone, and that millions of people would also like to enjoy healthy, grain-free versions of their favorite buns, biscuits, crusts, rolls, flatbreads and more. I made it my mission to create nourishing and healthy bread recipes that taste just like the real thing. I set out to discover how to use intelligent ingredients to achieve all the attributes you love about bread, without the gluten, grains and carbs. My goal was to create real bread with good-for-you ingredients, that was easy to make and tasted so delicious it could be served in a fine restaurant. But I had no idea how hard it would be. What I thought might take a few months, took years. When I began, most people had not even heard the term gluten-free. There were very few grain-free bread recipes online, and produced awful results, to be honest. There were no products in the store to model and no guidebooks to follow. To succeed, I had to literally reinvent the rules of baking. You see, baking is the science of chemistry. And baking with grain-free, low-glycemic ingredients is an exact science. Sometimes just one extra teaspoon of one ingredient can turn something delicious into a disaster. You cannot simply replace wheat flour with almond or coconut flour and expect a recipe to, magically, achieve the characteristics of bread. And don't forget, many of the properties we love most about bread are because of gluten. Gluten helps create that crusty on the outside, chewy on the inside texture. It provides stability and structure and helps bread to rise. It is what makes pizza dough crusty, chewy and stretchy. It wasn't easy to achieve all the attributes of grain-based breads, without the grain. I had to discover how to use new ingredients, testing hundreds of combinations over and over again, while documenting every experiment. But after all those years of trial and error, I finally cracked the code to create good-for-you breads as delicious as the classic originals. In 2014, Healing Gourmet published our recipes in a book called Better Breads. We knew a few people wanted to enjoy healthy bread, but we had no idea the response it would generate. It was an instant success, as more than 100,000 people discovered you really can have your bread. And be well too, TM. People from around the world wrote to tell me how happy they were enjoying bread again, without worrying about the gluten, grains, carbs, inflammatory oils and other unhealthy ingredients. Some of these people had not eaten bread, or anything like it, for years. The ingredients in traditional bread were simply too damaging to their health. We heard stories of people crying tears of joy being able to bite into a real sandwich again. Others were simply grateful they could enjoy bread, without cheating on their healthy diet. We were thankful for the praise, but we knew the recipes could be even better. We also knew our healthy breads would be perfect for the ketogenic diet. So, we selected the best of the best and I went back into the test kitchen. I continued tweaking and testing. Making preparation methods simpler, improving the mix of ingredients, adding new recipes to the collection, and making sure each one was aligned with the magic macros of the keto diet. Every recipe was carefully tested, until we achieved the perfect texture, crumb and ease of preparation. And I refused to settle for anything less than extraordinary taste. We continued improving until every recipe was perfect, and perfectly keto-friendly. Today, I'm proud to introduce the results of those efforts and announce Healing Gourmet's latest and greatest grain-free recipes book. The recipes in this book represent more than a decade of dedicated efforts in our test kitchen. Each one uses functional ingredients that actually protect, not wreck, your health. These breads are truly metabolic power foods that can help you sculpt a lean physique, instead of puffing up your muffin top. And yet they are so authentically delicious, you'll never miss the grain and carb-filled bread you used to eat. I'm talking about real bread. As good as any you've ever tasted. I've been baking and creating grain-free, low-carb breads for a long time, and I assure you, there is nothing else like this. These truly healthy creations taste just like the real thing. Feast your eyes on these delicious creations. Keto Breads was created with your satisfaction and valuable time in mind. Few things in the kitchen are worse than spending your time and money to make a recipe that flops. I don't want that to happen to you. That's why you can count on fail-proof formulas. Many recipes for low-carb breads just don't work, or the results are not worth eating. We made the instructions extremely clear and provide to the gram measurements, so even the most novice bakers can expect outstanding results. Taste tested to perfection. We tasted every recipe over and over until it was perfect. So not only can you bake with confidence that your results will come out just like the pictures, you can also be sure that you and your family will love every one of these delicious creations. Super easy prep. Most recipes in keto breads can be made in just 15 minutes hands-on time, with little more than a mixing bowl and spoon. Then just pop the dough in the oven, and wait for the aroma of real bread to fill your home. Allergy substitutions. If you have allergies and food intolerances, it can be difficult to find baking recipes your body agrees with. We understand this dilemma. That's why we also include a section on healthy substitutions for eggs, nuts and dairy. Full nutrition info. It can be difficult to track your nutrition on the ketogenic diet. We make it easy with complete nutrition information, macronutrient ratios and net carbs per serving. So you can enjoy crusty, buttery bread. And stay in the keto zone. When you can bake real bread just as good as the original, and when it only takes 15 minutes active time to make, you will sashay past your favorite bakery without a second thought. Enjoy your favorite breads again without worrying about your health, your blood sugar, or your waistline. Imagine being able to enjoy everything you love about bread, without the guilt and harmful ingredients. If you're tired of unhealthy alternatives and weak imitations, it's time to put real bread back on the table, guilt-free. I sincerely hope you enjoy these classic breads as much as we have enjoyed creating them for you. We hope that baking these creations will bring you joy, and get you closer to the body and health you deserve. Have your bread. And be well too.